drop the flag. All clear, go, 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 go.
Hey everyone, Paul Charsley again, the International for the Parc Fermé, continuing our series with interviewing the drivers from the Heart of Racing team. And third in our series is Ross Gunn.
How you doing?
Good,
yeah,
man.
good to see you.
Been a good year so far.
Yeah, it's been an amazing year. Thoroughly enjoyed the experience of IMSA, Heart of Racing. It's been a very enjoyable experience and one that I've wanted to do for quite a few years. I've always looked at this championship as a championship to compete in at some point in my career, and very lucky to be doing it at this stage. So yeah, very good. And then obviously last year I saw obviously my teammate from WEC, Darren, did some races with you guys.
Heard of that guy? Yeah.
Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Heard he's a bit of a legend. It was clearly a program on the up within the Aston Martin ranks. So I was very, very proud to get the call and haven't looked back since, really.
Yeah, plucked from obscurity by young Ian James.
Yeah. The guy just, I know. He phoned me out of the blue, and it was kind of like, wow, it's a cool opportunity. So
how did that happen? Did you meet Ian before, or?
I know I didn't actually meet him. I mean, we raced at the same event at Daytona last year, but we never really got to speak to each other.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, last year I got approached, and I think like November.
Yeah.
And it was 100%. I want to do this, and it's been an amazing year. Really enjoyable as well. Like I've enjoyed coming to every race. I've really been motivated to keep pushing, and the team have gone from strength to strength this year, and that's kind of motivated me even more to push harder. So it's been a fantastic year.
Just like the other people we've spoken to, with Roman, with Darren, obviously, just kind of more of an overview of your career, where it began, where it's gone, and where it's going. So let's just talk about your passion for racing. Where did that start?
To be honest, it started as soon as I was born, to be honest, because I have a family that had a strong interest in racing, but also competed in racing. So my grandfather, my mother, my dad, they were all involved in racing before I was born, and it was a big part of their life, and naturally it became a big part of my life. I remember seeing, I was being shown videos like recently of me watching Formula One races when I was sort of not even 1 year of age, and probably didn't have a clue what was going on, but I was so obsessed with the cars and the sound and whatever. I just always had a really strong passion for mainly Formula One, but motorsport was everything for me. And like most people, the story goes, karting and single seaters and whatever, and that was the case. I've always had a strong interest and a strong love for driving. I think that's the main thing. I think that's what drives the whole passion of doing this as a job. It's the driving element, which is the best part,
No one like clocks in and says, "Oh, I want to do that for a career. It's going to be easy and it's going to."
No,
it's a tough world, right?
Exactly. It's the driving is the bit that I absolutely love, and I hope that passion won't. I don't think it will really ever burn. To be honest, I think it'll always be there, and I'll always be wanting to drive a car as fast as possible. So
you do it fairly well.
I try to.
So with your family racing, what kind of stuff were they racing?
So my granddad did a little bit of rallying. He did a bit of Formula Ford back in the 60s. He actually, his claim to fame is he did a race with, or a couple of races with James Hunt.
So really?
That sort of era.
Okay.
And
nice.
He always tries to trick us into believing he was competitive, but wasn't really. And and then my dad, he started racing in the early 80s. He was very much into the build of he actually did mini racing, so he was very much into the build of cars, and he didn't have much money, so he got a couple of little sponsors here and there, but he became quite successful in the UK. He was national champion in 1993 in the Mini Miglia Championship. And at the same time, my mum was racing as well in the similar series, and that's how they met. And my mum as well was a pretty good driver. I think she had a few podiums and was pretty competitive. It was a club level, but it was back in those days it was actually quite a competitive series, and still is, to be fair. And that's where their journey started. It was not a job or anything, it was a hobby for those guys, but they loved racing just like myself, so you can kind of say it was in the blood as such.
Right. So when so obviously you said karting. When did you start karting, and were your family just like, oh, they're all motorsport freaks, so are they there every weekend? Were they there supporting?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, in the karting days, so I started in 2003 when I was 6 years old. That was the first time I'd had a go, and I got my first kart when I was 7. I did that continuously, and then when I was 8 years of age, that's the age you're allowed to race in the UK. Started kart racing all the way up to 15, and had some great years. Learned a lot.
Who were you racing against at that time?
So actually, when I was between the ages of 11 and 15, I raced the likes of George, Russell, Lando, Alex as well, when I was kind of 9, 10 years of age. There's plenty of other drivers as well that I raced that have gone on to have good careers or having good careers.
Isn't it crazy when you think about it?
It is really crazy.
Little kids racing little karts, some obscure place that no one's even paying attention to, and then... Yeah,
exactly. I mean, like back then, they clearly, all three of them have had a very successful career and in their own right, and they're on the absolute world stage of Formula One at the moment. And back then, they were just normal kids. They were all very talented kids, but they were just, back in those days, they had the same aspirations as me and the same, drive as me, and it's kind of strange now to see them how big they are, but very happy for them because they've done an amazing job, and I hopefully will cross paths in the future if they decide to come and do Le Mans at some point, which I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will. Who wouldn't want to do that? So you started karting, and then 15 you evolved into some Formula car stuff, or?
Yeah, so I won a couple of British Championships in karting,
okay,
and that kind of set me forward into single seaters when I was 16 in 2013. And I come from a normal background financially, and that doesn't really get you that far in the single seater world,
right,
of racing. So I did a part season of Formula 4 in the UK. Won a couple of races in my first year, which was really good, and the money dried up like it usually does, and that led me kind of to look to other options, and I got a very lucky break in 2015 with GT racing. Okay,
and so what was that break, right? I mean, so your passion is Formula One, because we all still follow Formula One no matter what. That never goes away, right? But sports car racing is a different ilk.
Yeah.
So when you found the opportunity to go sports car racing, had you even paid much attention to it before, or?
A little bit. I think you get really blinded in karting with Formula One being the be-all and end-all, because it is the pinnacle.
Right.
I watched Le Mans for sure, and I watched Daytona and everything. But the acceptance of stopping your single-seater career was really tough, because we're all deluded enough to think we can go there, when financially it really wasn't an option at any point really. I had a sponsor in karting He actually sponsored my dad for a couple of years in mini racing. He's a very successful, or they are a very successful couple in the UK that have created an ice cream company from nothing, and they had a
That's where your love of ice cream comes from.
Exactly, yeah.
Now we just got to figure out where the Britney Spears thing comes from.
Yeah, I know. The guy was called Andrew Howard, and he has a very successful race team in the UK, and he phoned me up one day and offered me the chance of a lifetime. Really, I was out of racing completely.
Really?
At the start of 2015, I was looking like I was going to have another year on the sidelines, which was going to be tough. And he had an opportunity, and he really kind of changed the direction of my career massively that year, because he gave me a chance in GT4 with a top team in British GT, and I was teammates with Jamie Chadwick, who I'm sure a lot of the viewers will know, and we had an amazing season, and that kind of springboarded me into the sort of GT world a little bit, and from then on it's kind of just.
And what car was that you were driving?
It was an Aston GT4, so the old, the original Vantage. It was a very competitive car. We had a very, very successful year. We won the championship actually a couple of rounds early. But yeah, that was definitely the moment where my career made a turn.
So how was the transition? Because obviously we know, I've seen people do it who can't transition from a Formula car style to a sports car. Obviously, you've taken to it like a duck to water, but that transition is difficult, I think, sometimes. So how was that when you jumped in the GT4 car? You're like, okay, it's not going to turn as quick. It's, how do you adapt your style?
Well, I had a very good coach. I had Johnny Adam, who was racing the GT3 that season, and he really helped me an awful lot. But actually, when I did my first test in the car, I was surprised by how at home I felt immediately. I did a test in Spain in early 2015, and immediately within a day I felt really comfortable in the car and I felt at home.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably just the nature of the car. It was an easy car to drive. It was really comfortable. I think also I hadn't really driven a car for a long time, so my single-seater experience, if it was anything, it didn't really play much of a factor.
Gotcha.
And I just got to grips with it quickly, and had great support, as I said, from Johnny, and it was really good.
So then so you've transitioned there, obviously that was just racing for a team, but then you transitioned into being an official Aston Martin driver, which is obviously a great opportunity also. And put you in all kinds of places around the world. So did Johnny kind of help you do that, or was the championship kind of an invitation to Aston Martin to go, okay, we need to get this guy?
Well, that year they ran an Evolution Academy, which was basically they had 10 drivers on their academy that they were looking after in terms of supporting with fitness training, simulator training. We did multiple workshops during the year, just learning about teams, the cars, technical aspects, everything. And we got invited at the end of the year, a few of us, to a test in Bahrain. Basically like a shootout to see who would get a works contract at the end of 2015, and I managed to come out on top of that. And I got my junior contract in 2016. And that was, again, I had some great people with me that were looking after me and pushing me. Johnny, Darren, I was getting closer to at the time, Andrew Howard, a lot of people to really thank for the support back in those days that enabled me to get into that position. And then since then, I've just gradually built my relationship with AMR to the point where I'm able to race for some of the best customer teams in the world. So that's good.
No, it's amazing. Because I mean, that's not that long ago.
No, it's not. It's not.
And I'm just thinking of you know, I don't know how many times you've been to Le Mans.
3 times. I've done three Le Mans. I've done 2 support races and 3 24s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the? I mean, obviously Le Mans was always my dream and still is, but that's pretty stupid. But just to be there, you know, to be in that race is something, right? But then to be competitive in that race, you represent a manufacturer. So let's talk about all the big races you've done, the tracks, your favorite tracks, that kind of stuff. Obviously, Le Mans is always the pinnacle in sports car racing, and I'm guessing you've just kind of immersed yourself in the sports car ranks now. So what other races, or what's your highlights at Le Mans, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Le Mans is one of a kind, really. I think you have to be there to really understand it, because I didn't really understand the hype before I went.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really. I mean, again, kind of a little bit naive in a way, but when I went there and did my first 24-hour in 2017, it blew me away in many aspects. You know, the amount of people that are there watching the event is like no other. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I remember starting the race, and it was just like a sea of people watching on the outside of the track.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I remember so much of my Le Mans experiences because it was all so special. In terms of the races themselves, I've had some good races there. I finished every one. Finished in the first year 4th and the last 2 years 8th with a little bit of bad luck.
Yeah.
But we've always had a really strong car there. The Aston has always performed well there, been very reliable, and I want to go back every year now. I want to make that a yearly trip, to be honest, because it's very good.
Now, obviously, you've been doing GT racing, and obviously part of endurance racing is also prototypes. Have you ever thought about trying to jump into prototypes? Do you have a go? Have you tried it?
Yeah,
Any
no.
thoughts?
I've never tried a prototype, but for sure when you're driving a GT car on the track
and they're pushing you out.
and they go around the outside of you at the carousel at Watkins Glen, you're like, oh, what's that like? I'd love to have a go, but yeah, I mean, I've made no secret about it. I want my future to go in the direction of the top class.
Right.
I think that's the ambition of a lot of young GT drivers.
Should be, yeah.
So I'm pushing hard to keep performing at the fantastic level of GT racing.
Yeah.
And that's all I can do. Just do my best. I have some great people behind me in my career, and the future of sports car racing, especially in the top class, is looking very shiny at the moment, and the amount of manufacturers that are involved. But I'm under no illusions with how many good drivers there are on the market and how many good drivers are trying to make their way into all of these seats. But all you can do is just do your absolute best and see where it goes. But very happy with what I'm doing right now, and for sure my ambition is to try and win some of these big races like Daytona, Le Mans, Spa, Nürburgring.
So what do you think you bring that's a little bit special to a team? Because I think you do. I mean, you show pace everywhere. You learn tracks. You've been to all kinds of new tracks this year, and it seems like after lap 4, it's kind of like your home track or something. I'm not quite sure how you do that. But so what do you think? What's your approach for a weekend, and what do you think you bring? Not to be braggy or anything, but what do you're confident, you know what you're doing. What do you think you bring that's maybe a bit different or really makes you stand out, which I feel like you have done this year?
I think I've been really fortunate in racing for a lot of customer teams in the last few years, and therefore I've raced in lots of different championships and been to lots of new tracks.
Yeah.
So I've kind of learnt how to learn tracks quickly.
Yeah.
I've got a home simulator at home, which I spend an awful lot of time on, which to the annoyance of my girlfriend sometimes.
It's your second girlfriend.
Yeah. Sometimes it's my first. But yeah, no, I don't know. I do spend a lot of time at home preparing. You know, I've dedicated a lot of my time away from the track to this. Like a lot of guys, you know, I'm not anything special in that sense. You know, a lot of guys, there are a lot of grinders and hard workers here. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I've got to thank Ian for this year, because he leads a lot of our track walks. He has a phenomenal amount of experience, and I just feel very comfortable in doing kind of what he's teaching me immediately, and a lot of the time it all works and sticks. So yeah, it's been an amazing year, and I've been very happy with how quickly I've been able to learn the tracks, and you know, hopefully if I come back next year, that will be you know, the fact that I've been to all of the tracks, that will be a real feather in my cap again, and you know, I'll be able to go one step forward. So
with the difference, obviously European, have you raced in Asia too?
Raced in Asia.
Yeah. So biggest difference between Europe and US teams, I think there is quite a stark difference.
Yeah, massive.
You know.
Yeah.
So what do you see the biggest differential between racing in Europe and racing in America, and obviously racing with us?
I would say that things in Europe are a little bit more clean cut and professional in the sense that, but less fun.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
You know, here it's very enjoyable. Everyone is relaxed. The team spirit is incredible.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has got everyone's back. So from that perspective, like, I love it. But I would say the Europeans, you know, it's a little bit shiny on the edges at times, and not to say that that's like a bad thing against here. Like here is it's just different, you know. It's naturally it's going to be different. It's the other different side of the world.
Right.
But if I had to choose, if I could only choose one, I'd choose probably here. You know?
Okay.
Because I know the people. I think people-wise, it's just a little bit better.
Right. Yeah, it's always been the same since the 80s, since I've been involved in this stuff. It looks a little sloppy, maybe even somewhat, you know, but not as regimented.
Yeah.
But you put an American team up against a European team, and they're just as competitive. It's just a different way of going about it, but maybe a bit less on edge all the time. Right?
I mean,
a little more.
I mean, some people within each camp would say, "Oh, that won't work on the other side," or "That won't work on the other side." Right. But generally, when they come together, performance-wise, it's not that different, you know.
Especially when you're dealing with Phil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Phil. I mean,
that guy grabs things out of the air, and you're like,
yeah, I like, how does he do it?
That must have taken a long time for you to get to trust, knowing.
Yeah,
coming from the European side, going to Phil's like, who is this guy? And
yeah.
I mean, I remember you had a lot more questions at the beginning of the year. Are you sure? But okay.
Yeah, I mean, at the start of the year, I mean, I've worked with a couple of American engineers before, so I kind of understood a little bit the way their methodology is and everything. And I remember at the start of the year, I was like, I can't get my head around this guy. What's going on? And then eventually you start performing well, and the car is getting really good, and then you're like trusting the guy that, Jesus, he's good, you know. And he
don't know how he does it.
I don't know how he does it. Like, he pulls it from out of nowhere at times, and you're like, wow.
All right, Ross, you got about 9 minutes left. 9 minutes. You'll probably get the fuel light with about 1 lap to go.
It's interesting how a weekend evolves, isn't it? It
Yeah.
seems to have the same kind of pattern.
Yeah.
Some are better than others, you know, like here, start off with a pretty darn good car.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you start with a car that you're like, the one minute complaining once that stops. But the car always seems to evolve in a positive direction.
Yeah, we always find a way. We always find a positive way, and I have to take my hat off to him, because he always finds an amazing direction with the car, and yeah, long may it continue.
Yeah, yeah. So what's been your favourite tracks so far? Obviously we've had a couple of wins. That's always a track.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the win track. So Detroit and Lime Rock are particularly my favourite.
Yeah.
But Watkins Glen was incredible.
Yeah.
Here is really awesome. Like on a quali lap on low fuel, the change of direction through the S's is.
Because you just broke the track record here, so that.
Yeah, it feels amazing. It feels amazing. Wow, Long Beach was good fun for a street track. That was really good fun. We struggled a little bit for pace. It is a tough track, you know. Like any street track, if you make a mistake, it's game over really. But that was a fun track, even though we struggled a little bit for pace. There's another one. Road America. That's my favourite. That is a cool track.
Yes.
That is an awesome track.
Yeah.
I love that race. That was a really good one. I think the high-speed nature of it, high tyre deg as well, which isn't always good fun, but it was a good track.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but just kind of ending up future goals. How do you see yourself? Obviously, you're hanging out with Ian a lot, you know, and you've seen how his career has progressed, and now he's running a team and things like that. Do you have any? Obviously, you're very early. You've talked about prototypes. What do you see? What are your dreams for the future?
Oh, so really, I just want to try and have a long career.
Yeah.
First of all, I think that's the most important thing, is to try and have longevity, and with longevity, you need to have a little bit of luck, and that is, you know, kind of surrounding yourself with the right people and having the right attitude. I think attitude is a massive thing. I see lots of drivers with a great attitude that go a long way. They're not always the fastest, but if they work well with the mechanics and the media and the engineers, and you know, they're good in front of sponsors, you know, it's really good, you know. And also, of course, speed is the absolute key for every door. So importantly, I need to try and keep improving. But as far as ambitions and aspirations, I want to try and win the WEC Championship. I want to try and win the IMSA, which hopefully you will be doing in the next week or so. And then,
which is pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, it is actually.
First year, I mean, second year for this team. It's been
it's been an amazing year.
It's been fun.
Yeah, we haven't finished lower than 6th yet, and I don't want to touch wood. I've already touched wood a lot of times this year. I'm saying stupid things. But I think those two are, like, for me, the international championships of sports car racing. So to try and win championships in those is my ambition. But of course, everyone wants to win the bucket list races of Nürburgring, Spa, Bathurst, Le Mans, Daytona.
Yes.
Those 5 are definitely races that I want to try and win. Mm-hmm. I'm trying my best to put myself in that position to do it. And we'll see what happens in the future.
Now, you're also in an interesting position where you're a young driver still working your way up the ladder, but then your teammate is an even younger driver. Just, you know, the wild Roman DeAngelis.
Crazy,
How's that relationship been through the year? I remember at the beginning, and on that first track walk at Daytona, and I think your opinion, you didn't know, I don't think you knew much about him. And you were kind of talking, you know, like, this is your first rodeo. And I think, you know, once you saw him drive a little bit, you could see he had some more talent there. But how's that evolved as you've, obviously he's your teammate, he's going to back you up, he's going to put you in a position to win, so you want to do everything you can. So how's that relationship been this year?
Really good. He's an awesome kid. Usually I've been used to being the young pup in every team, you know, like I've always been the youngest generally, and this year, like, he's obviously 4 years younger. It's quite a big gap actually for the age that we are.
I have to keep telling him to put down the comics.
I know. Come on, Rome, grow up. And now he's an awesome kid, and he's very, very talented. He has a great career ahead of him. At Daytona, he drove a blinder. He was faster than me at Daytona, for sure. And he really did an awesome job. And then throughout the year, I feel like it's really nice to have him as a teammate because I can learn things. You know, it's not all about him learning off me. There's things that he does, and I'm like, okay, I'll try that, and it works. Yeah. But yeah, he has a great attitude. He has a great opportunity racing for Heart of Racing, being part of their fabric. Yeah. And I knew before I came here that he was fast because I could see. Obviously, I know how fast Darren is an awesome pro, and he was very comparable to Darren last year when they raced. So I knew he was going to be really quick, and he's done an awesome job. He's always qualifying in top 5, and he's always going forward in the races. Usually, he never goes backwards. He's got great racing instinct. He's just got an amazing attitude towards learning, and that's really the key. So hopefully I can do a lot more with him in the future. I'm sure he's going to have a really strong career. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about it. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, mate. Yeah. Thanks. It's been a fun year. Yeah. Good to meet you as well. Yeah. It's been good to say that the team, the Heart of Racing, is kind of special. As you said, everyone supports each other. Yeah. And everyone's going to, be successful together, and it's fun to have those successes. So. Yeah. All right, so that's about it from me and Ross. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.